Yo, what is up? It is the Unfiltered Discussions podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about the situation going on with Jonathan Majors. We're going to be reacting to two videos today. The first one is just going to be a recap of everything that's happened so far. And the second video is going to be some new allegations and potentially some new charges, not for Jonathan Majors though. So without further ado, we are going to get into this first video. It is by the Legal Bytes channel, and here we go.
So let's start with Jonathan Majors. Who is he? Jonathan Majors is an American actor from Lompoc, California, whose career in recent years has been characterized as not only on the rise, but most recently exploding. If you recognize him, you might know him from his roles in the TV series Lovecraft Country, or films like White Boy Rick, The Last Black Man in San Francisco, Devotion, or as the Marvel supervillain Kang the Conqueror in Marvel's Loki and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Or if you're not much of a movie buff, maybe you saw him in the US Army's most recent recruitment ad campaign.
Here's a personal question for you. When you look into your future, do you see a life full of obstacles or possibilities?
Okay, so
Now, I noticed she left out the movie The Harder They Fall, and that's actually one of my new favorite movies. Especially, I'm a big Regina King fan, and that movie actually made me become a Jonathan Majors fan, because honestly, I don't remember him from any other movies before that. Like, I seen White Boy Rick. I really don't remember who he played in that one. And I don't think, besides that, I don't think I really seen him in too many other things. I knew he was oh, you know what? No, I did see him in Loki, and I seen him in Ant-Man Quantumania, but that was after The Harder They Fall. And I wonder why they didn't mention that movie. Never mind. We're just gonna keep going here.
what happened here to bring his seemingly meteoric rise in Hollywood to a total screeching halt? On March 25th, 2023, TMZ broke the news that Jonathan Majors was arrested on charges of domestic violence against his then-girlfriend, who was at the time not named, but later revealed to be Grace Jabari. According to the claim, it happened when they were sitting in the backseat of a privately hired car in New York City the previous night. A text from another woman allegedly popped up on his phone, and she confronted him, wanting to see what it was about. She claims Majors got mad and that he allegedly grabbed her hand, slapped her, and put his hands around her neck. According to TMZ, she reported that after the argument, she was dropped off somewhere and that Majors spent the night elsewhere. The next morning, police were called to Majors' apartment, where both of them were, and they concluded the visit by arresting Majors on suspicion of domestic violence.
Now, I didn't know that they had actually been together for a few years. And I guarantee this isn't the first time that this has happened. I mean, no matter which one of them is actually the abuser here, it's definitely not the first time. This was probably one of those toxic relationships.
Again, according to reporting, she had visible injuries, including a laceration behind her ear, a broken finger on her right hand, and redness and marks to her face, which were presumed or assumed to be results of this alleged altercation. She was taken to a hospital, and he was taken right to jail. The very next day, his legal team fired back, releasing a statement saying that they had clear evidence that he did not, in fact, abuse his ex-girlfriend. In support, they pointed to the fact that Majors was the one who called 911 in the first place. They also referenced surveillance video footage from the car they were in, as well as a witness statement from the driver, which purport to corroborate Majors' side. They also referenced other surveillance footage that they said supported Majors, and they said that they had text messages between Majors and the ex-girlfriend where she even recanted the abuse claim. Now, let's first go over the text message exchange. These are the texts that his legal team provided to TMZ on March 30th, 2023. Here you can see in the blue bubble on the right, that would be Jonathan Majors' side, and on the left in gray, that would be from Ms. Jabari. So you can see that Majors says, "Did you leave the keys? Goodbye," and her name is redacted. Then later the same day, she responds, "Please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you won't be charged. They said they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. I only just got out of hospital. Just call me when you're out. I love you." And then later she continues, "They just called again to check on me and I reiterated how this was not an attack and they do not have my blessing on any charges being placed. I read the paper they gave me about strangulation and I said point blank this did not occur and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told about this. She ensured this to me. I know you have the best team and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the call was to do with me collapsing and passing out and your worry as my partner due to our communication prior. Out of care. She promised all will be relayed." So
Now, back in the 80s and I want to say early 90s, it used to be that if there was a domestic dispute and the police were called, as long as nobody said that they wanted the other person arrested, the police would just come break it up and just leave it at that, really. Depending on the situation. But I think it was like right around the OJ incident that things changed. Now the state automatically picks them up no matter what the other party does. Even if she doesn't show up to court or she says she's not going to testify, the state automatically picks those up. And the thing is about this, though, is that I read somewhere else or heard somewhere else that she was saying she didn't know what happened. And they pretty much, coerced. Yeah. They pretty much coerced her into saying that he did it to her. And I guess she had been partying the night before, drinking alcohol and taking sleeping pills.
what do we actually know about the video surveillance footage from this instance? Let's go through each of them one by one. The first is the car footage, as well as the witness statement from the driver, who Major's legal team says is actually ready to testify on Major's behalf. According to the New York Post and...
Now, if they're saying that this incident happened in the car and there's video footage that he didn't hit her and there's an actual witness saying that he didn't hit her, they should be dropping the charges. But for some reason, they're still proceeding with the charges. Like he has the trial date is supposed to start in August 3rd. And that's because he's actually pushing for it to hurry up and come. And he wants to get it over with.
Others, Major's attorney Priya Chaudhry said that the driver reported a woman, quote, hitting, scratching, and attacking Majors, and that Majors asked the driver to stop so he could escape the violence from her. Major's legal team says that they have video footage from this actual incident, but it still has yet to be released to the public. So that's talking about the car footage. What about the club footage? According to Major's legal team, they say her claims don't add up because later that same night, she went out to clubs in New York City. Now, as a foundational matter and looking at this from a devil's advocate perspective, having looked at a number of cases with abuse claims, I can tell you that sometimes victims don't really do things that most people would say would make sense or is logical. Despite that, there still has to be some level of explainability around it in order to fit that into the overall narrative or the overall landscape of facts. And looking at this from another perspective, I could see how someone could be roughed up by their partner one night and then decide to go out to either shake it off or to somehow self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. This can be particularly true if the abuse victim also has a substance abuse problem. After all, people with addictions to drugs and alcohol are arguably more susceptible to ending up in abusive relationships than those who aren't in the grips of addiction. That said, Major's legal team also says that in the club surveillance videos, Jabari is seen casually pushing her hair behind her right ear, reaching into her bag several times, sorting through credit cards, handling phones, holding a menu, and easily holding a glass of champagne. If the video surveillance footage actually holds up to that description, that is another huge blow to the prosecution's case here. It suggests that either she was never injured at all, or if she did get injured, that those injuries were sustained long after this altercation ever ended. So what do we have available to us of this footage? We don't have the actual video footage, but we do have stills that were taken from that footage and attached to filings submitted by Major's legal team to the New York County Criminal Court. Here's one image where she's either receiving or handing off something to what appears to be the DJ at the club. From looking at it, I can't really tell if it's a drink or money or something else, but it does appear that she's using her right hand. Not being able to see the movement, it's hard to gauge how much difficulty she's having with this exchange. And it is possible that she could be using her right hand because it's her dominant hand and she's just so used to using it by default, but that with an injury, she's having a hard time doing things she normally could do with ease. But she is using it, so she could be uninjured. It would be a lot easier to determine just how much this actually helps Major's case if we could see the actual video of it. So hopefully that gets released sooner rather than later. Now, here's another image of...
Well, first things first, like she had markings and stuff all over her face, and she supposedly had lacerations on her ear and a broken finger. I don't know anybody that's going to go to the club with bruises on her face and laceration, and bleeding from the ear. I mean, unless she was already like super intoxicated and, it was kind of one of those fuck it moments. She's not going to go to the club with that on her face. My guess probably what happened was if, the story about the alcohol and the sleeping pills is true, she probably drank some alcohol and took some sleeping pills and was up sleepwalking, because from what I've heard, Ambien, you will be up in the middle of the night and not even know it. Like you take that Ambien, you'll be up just doing weird stuff and not even know it. And she probably tripped and hit her face. That's how she ended up in the closet on the floor. Yeah, it's, like I said, it's getting weird. And just to reiterate, she is not the one that's saying he did this to her. It's the NYPD that is saying he did this to her. He did this stuff to her. She doesn't know what happened.
Her at the club that night, apparently using her cell phone with her right hand. Again, this suggests her hand is uninjured, but I really want to see how easily she's manipulating the phone or if she's having a hard time doing it. And right now, all we really have are Major's legal team's characterization of these movements, which is not the same thing as seeing it for ourselves. Now, we also have Major's lawyers' arguments about the morning that the police arrived. They are saying that Major's arrest was a result of racism on the part of the police who responded to the 911 call. In support, they point to the fact that the police apparently didn't recognize Majors despite his recent Hollywood successes, and they allegedly commented on how someone like Majors could afford such a luxurious New York City apartment. His legal team also says that the body cam footage from the police shows that they were clearly coaching her to say that Majors grabbed her by the throat. They've said that this includes footage of Jabari saying, "I don't remember what happened," something like 19 times, until finally the police asked her again, and then she gave her narrative. But again, all we have here are stills from the body cam footage. The public has not been able to see portions of the actual footage itself. The police might be doing what, let's say, they've been trained to do for domestic violence cases and drawing out information from an abuse victim or an alleged abuse victim. Or they might be improperly coaching someone to make up a claim against her then boyfriend because of the fact that they themselves have already made up several assumptions about this other man. Either one is a possibility because it's a very...
And in my honest opinion, that's some bullshit. They should not be allowed to do that. Once a person says, "I don't know," or "No, that's not what happened," that should be it. Not keep digging until that person comes up with the answer that you want them to, pretty much. I mean, because especially nowadays, women aren't afraid to speak up when the police are standing right there and somebody just whooped their asses. Most women today aren't afraid to to step up and be like, "Yeah, no, he did this." You know what I mean? Because hell, most of y'all don't need us today any goddamn ways.
fact-specific and nuanced issue that could be one way or another. So if you're looking at this objectively, it's really tough to look at what's actually available to us and come to any definitive conclusion without relying on the characterizations that were given to the public by Major's legal team. But what even led to the police arriving that morning in the first place? This is the final core argument by Major's lawyers. It seems to be undisputed that he's the one who actually called the police that morning when he arrived at the apartment around 11 a.m. to find her sleeping half naked on the floor of his walk-in closet after allegedly throwing up on the bed. According to Majors, Jabari told him that she had taken, quote, a few sleeping tablets before then.
See, and that's the thing right there, those sleeping tablets. Like I said, you can take those, and especially if you take them with alcohol. I have a friend, he's a little bit older. He used to take them with Four Locos. He would pop like a handful of those and take some Four Loco or drink some Four Loco, and it'd be a wrap for him for the night. Yeah, those things will have you doing some wild shit in the middle of your sleep, okay? What happened recently is that a lot of YouTube channels were reporting that the accuser, Grace Jabari, and actually she's not even the accuser, the NYPD is, but her name is Grace Jabari, his ex-girlfriend. It was rumored that she got arrested, that Jonathan Majors and his attorney had sent some stuff to the NYPD detectives, and they investigated it, and she got arrested. So our next video is going to come from the Cosmic Wonder, and he's going to go a little bit into that and discuss everything that's happening there. But here is a little snippet from the New York Times, and it states, late last week, the police issued what is known as an iCard for Miss Jabari. The iCard, which appears in a department database, is different from an arrest warrant, which is typically signed by a judge, but alerts officers that there is probable cause to arrest Miss Jabari. Brian Edwards, a lawyer for Ms. Jabari, said that there is no reason to arrest her and that he had seen nothing reliable indicating that any agency has developed a different opinion. Now, an iCard, I'm pretty sure, if I live in Ohio, I'm pretty sure here that would be like a capias or like a bench warrant. I am actually not sure what an iCard is. We got anybody from New York watching this? Please leave it down in the comment section, like what exactly an iCard is. I mean, is it exactly that? It's just pretty much a warrant, like a capias, like a bench warrant, or what the deal is with that. But also, Rolling Stone supposedly was doing a 3-month investigation into Jonathan Majors' background. Like I said, supposedly. And they're claiming that he's being accused of extreme abuse that allegedly goes back 10 years. They're claiming that they interviewed 40 different people that he's worked with, that he went to school with. I didn't know dude went to Yale. Holy shit. But yeah, that he worked with, that he's went to school with, and including ex-girlfriends. And it's being rumored that New York City prosecutors are interviewing ex-girlfriends, which, come on, dude, that shouldn't be allowed, because how reliable are ex-girlfriends, especially bitter ones? You know what I mean? They could be some real haters for real and just be like mad because they're not still with him. Oh yeah, he was like this, he was at da 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 da. And it would be the same for like bitter ex-boyfriends or ex-husbands and stuff too. Like, I know I got a few ex-girlfriends that they told me to come to court. Yeah, she ain't shit. But let's without further ado, let's get into this next video by the Cosmic Wonder channel. And I will link both of these channels down in the description box. let's go ahead and go.
Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and today we have some new developments in the case of Jonathan Majors. Recently, things were looking pretty good with Jonathan Majors and his case, where he is being tried for several cases of assault against his ex-girlfriend Grace Jabari. Jonathan Majors was arrested for allegedly assaulting her, but recently, in a report from Newsweek.com, we found out that Priya Chaudhry, Jonathan Majors' lawyer, and Majors himself provided the NYPD with enough evidence. Along with the NYPD conducting their own investigation, the NYPD found probable cause to arrest Grace Jabari, the person who is the alleged victim in the Jonathan Majors assault case. But Jonathan Majors has now claimed that she assaulted him, and this was the evidence they provided and the evidence that the NYPD found to find probable cause to arrest her. And Majors' lawyer, Chaudhry, said this, and I quote, "Within hours of viewing the evidence and conducting their own thorough investigation, the NYPD found probable cause to arrest Grace Jabari for assaulting Jonathan Majors. Considering this development, we extend our gratitude to the NYPD detectives for their efforts." However, we have recently found out this morning from a report from Business Insider that Manhattan prosecutors were reluctant to press charges against Jabari, and the Chinatown police station issued her with an incident card and not issuing the arrest warrant. And the incident card, which basically means that she is called into the police office for questioning, was then revoked as well. Basically, the NYPD Chinatown precinct changed their mind, according to this report from Business Insider, and they decided to not arrest Grace Jabari. So they had the intent to arrest her, but then canceled that. Then they gave her the incident card, but canceled that as well. And according to a report from the...
Okay, so she didn't get arrested. They even took away the incident card or the iCard. So she has no warrant out for her arrest either. That's why I'm saying this keeps getting weird. If she did attack him and there are witnesses saying that it was her that attacked him, shouldn't she be getting some charges pressed on her for that? Because the taxi driver or the private car driver did say that she attacked him.
NYPD to Newsweek, they stated, regarding the incident that occurred on March 25th of 2023, the investigation is ongoing. There are no additional arrests at this time. Basically stating that despite what Priya Chaudhry, Jonathan Majors' lawyer, and their team presented them with, and despite what they said originally when presented with this evidence, they are not going through with the arrest. So things were looking pretty good for Jonathan Majors until the NYPD revoked their decision, and now, last night, Rolling Stone released a huge article about Jonathan Majors and how he has been known over the past decade for extreme abuse. Rolling Stone states that they have done a 3-month investigation talking to many of his past co-workers and schoolmates, speaking with over 40 people who have known Jonathan Majors, and now RollingStone.com has come out with the article basically stating everything that they have learned about Jonathan Majors and what people have said about him, with the article titled Jonathan Majors' Extreme Abuse Allegedly Goes Back Nearly a Decade. So we'll break down this article, talk about what it means for his case, and talk about what it means for Jonathan Majors' role as Kang the Conqueror in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The subtitle for this article reads, Majors was abusive with his partners, aggressive on sets, and a source of toxicity at Yale. 24 sources tell Rolling Stone. Majors vehemently denies all accusations. Rolling Stone goes on in the article to say, during this 3-month investigation, Rolling Stone spoke with more than 40 people who have known Majors during his time in graduate school, his Hollywood career, and his romantic relationships. Many describe Majors as being a complicated, unpredictable, and sometimes violent man who can switch from charming to cold in a flash. And they do state here that all of the sources for this article request to remain anonymous, citing fear of career repercussions and personal retribution from Majors.
Go figure. They want to go into a magazine and talk shit, but don't want to give out their names. Or the magazine could be making this up. What do you guys think about this? I mean, it's kind of fishy that she doesn't get, or they decide they're going to go ahead and put a capias out for her and arrest her. And then they decide they're not only going to arrest her, they're not going to press any charges on her, even though there is evidence that she assaulted him in the back of the car. I don't know. It just seems like real fishy. This is like I said, this shit is getting weird. It's getting real weird.
Some claim they were prohibited from speaking, and Rolling Stone quotes here, "My only response can be that I am silenced by an NDA he had me sign," says one person who worked with Majors. So all of their sources and statements that they are getting from these witnesses are going to remain anonymous. And the article is very long and pretty repetitive, but I'll give you the main details that they have found out with speaking with all of these different witnesses. Rolling Stone states, throughout conversations with more than a dozen sources, Rolling Stone has learned of 2 women Majors allegedly abused either physically and or emotionally. Now again, this is allegedly, so this is not proven, and in parentheses, it states, the 2 women declined to comment for this article, with one of the women, through a spokesperson, citing fear of retribution. They continue on to state, one woman who dated Majors was strangled and physically and emotionally abused. 9 sources familiar with their relationship claim. At first, the sources say Majors was romantic with the woman before.
So this isn't coming from the woman herself. It's coming from other people. So this is pretty much hearsay.
Before becoming more manipulative and volatile, the situation became really extreme abuse, physical and mentally, one source claims, and allegedly escalated to the point of him strangling her. 2 sources claim she tried to leave multiple times and had an exit plan at one point but remained in the relationship. Majors emotionally abused a second woman he was dating. 9 people familiar with their relationship allege. The woman said her relationship with Majors was emotional torture, according to one source. Though the woman told friends at the time Majors was never physically abusive with her, she said there were moments of near violence where he would get filled with rage, says the source of woman confided in. The woman told the source that Majors would say he needed to hit something or punch a wall or something of that nature. And here's where it actually gets kind of convoluted. Rolling Stone basically cites that they can't confirm anything with these actual 2 women who were allegedly abused physically and emotionally. They even state, as part of Majors' legal team's response to Rolling Stone's request for comment on the abuse allegations, his attorneys sent 6 character witness statements from women who Majors had dated or was close.
Now, if he gets found not guilty of the whole thing, the Jabari thing, this could come back to really bite Rolling Stone in the ass, because this could definitely be a defamation lawsuit. This was really stupid, and honestly, it shouldn't be legal for the media to be able to do this. Like, them going and digging up his past has nothing to do with what's going on right now with the Jabari case. They're just, they're trying to paint him in a bad light, even though he hasn't even went to trial yet. So they don't even know if he's guilty.
With Majors' attorney noted in his statement that Rolling Stone was provided statements from Mr. Majors' actual past romantic partners attesting to his character and the falsity of the charges, but Rolling Stone purposefully ignored those facts and red flags and published the false charges anyways. But then Rolling Stone states that, in fact, Rolling Stone reached out to all 6 people. 3 say they never gave Majors' team permission to release such statements. Another woman declined to share the statement credited to her by Majors' team, saying it was pre-written, not truthful, and that she had never approved of its release, which is really, really odd for a law firm to do. They typically would not do that unless they did actually have consent to send those statements in. So that's a really interesting mix-up here. However, they do...
Yeah, I mean, they are lawyers. They know they can't really send those to Rolling Stone without consent. And just real quick, I need you guys to hit the like button for me, all right? You made it this far into the video, hit the like button for me. YouTube, the algorithm is not being too friendly to me right now for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I didn't tickle it right or something. But it's not being too friendly to me right now. So I'm going to need y'all to hit that like button, push this video along in the algorithm, help me get some more impressions and get this video out there more and let people see this video. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We got great content coming out. Also, I am not one of these soft ass dudes out here. If you got some constructive criticism for me on things that I can do better, what I can improve on, let me know down in the comments section. I greatly appreciate it. It's all in the effort to try to get better content out for you, the viewer. Now we're going to finish this up.
State that one woman did consent to making her statement public. It is Haley Carter, a woman who Majors dated from age 13 to 18, described Majors as sweet, kind, and gentle in a message drafted in late March. After 20 years of knowing him, I can tell you who Jonathan is. He did not do these things. He is exactly the opposite of what these allegations say. Jonathan is the most self-controlled, disciplined, well-mannered person I know. We all call him the peacekeeper. He is not violent in any way. Now, the article also says it speaks with people that have worked with Jonathan Majors in his acting career or people that were his co-students at Yale, and they all say that he was really hard to work with and be around. However, here is what Jonathan Majors' team had to say in response to all of these allegations. They state, Jonathan Majors vehemently denies Rolling Stone's false allegations that he physically, verbally, or emotionally abused anyone, let alone any of his past romantic partners. These allegations are based entirely on hearsay because
I don't know what's
neither
up with
of
this
the
gay ass
romantic
picture, though.
partners referenced were willing to engage with Rolling Stone for the article,
Goddamn
demonstrating
NPR.
their outright falsity. And this is coming from Jonathan Majors' attorney, Dustin A. Poosh, who also stated that Jonathan Majors also denies any allegations of abuse, violence, or intimidation during his time at Yale. The allegations that Mr. Majors got physical with or physically intimidated anyone on any movie set are downright false. Everyone who has worked with Mr. Majors knows that he employs an immersive method acting style, and while that can be misconstrued as rudeness at times, those who know Mr. Majors and work in the industry have attested to his dedication to his craft as well as his kindness. And that is pretty much the basis of the article. Rolling Stone states anonymous sources have said that Jonathan Majors is very intimidating, very pushy, very hard to work with, and that a couple of relationships he was in, he was emotionally abusive and in one physically abusive. But these two women would not speak to Rolling Stone. And it doesn't seem like anybody from any of the recent movies that he's worked on is willing to come out and state anything about the case either. So right now, this is all hearsay, and more importantly, this won't actually affect his legal case. Now, it could still affect his standing with Marvel Studios, but we'll talk about that in just a bit. As far as the case is concerned against his alleged abuse against Grace Jabari, there isn't too much that can be used here in court. Yes, they can present anonymous sources, but what they would really need is the two previous girlfriends to go to court and testify. And even then, that is for a completely unrelated case. What he is in trial for right now is the several cases of assault against Grace Jabari specifically. And based off of the details,
Now, he keeps saying several cases. I'm only aware of one. And I think I need to go back and rewatch this Loki series because there's some episodes at the end with Jonathan Majors that I know I missed.
that we have learned over the past couple of months, Jonathan Majors and his team seemingly have substantial evidence to prove that he is innocent, they claim. And some footage has even been released publicly, showing Grace Jabari after the alleged assault, right after the alleged assault at a nightclub, appearing to be perfectly fine. She claimed that Majors broke her hand, broke a finger on her hand, and lacerated her ear. And in the footage, we can see that her hand is perfectly fine, and that her ear is also perfectly fine as well. And Majors' team claims that they have much more evidence, including CCTV footage, which was used to get Grace Jabari arrested for assault against Majors himself, and they have many eyewitnesses that are willing to testify on Majors' behalf, including the driver who was driving Jabari and Majors.
See, now I'm confused because he just said that she did actually get arrested. So she got arrested and they didn't press charges on her
when the supposed assault took place. So I'm obviously not a lawyer, but I'm not sure any of this is really going to affect his case right now. Now, the women could come out and state that these allegations are true and they were abused.
No, it's not going to affect this case, but it could taint a jury into giving him a guilty verdict when he's actually innocent. That's why, like, the media shouldn't be allowed to do this before somebody is found guilty.
And they could press charges against Majors at that time or take him to court, but I don't think this will affect his case that much. However, it could affect his standing with Marvel Studios even if he ends up being innocent. Sometimes the studios take these things into account. However, at this point in time, Marvel Studios has worked with Jonathan Majors during Loki Season 1 and of course during Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, so they can make their own judgments. They have combined over a year working physically in the presence with Jonathan Majors. So if these allegations are true and Marvel Studios agrees that he is actually quite difficult to work with, then even if he is proven innocent in his current court case, they could decide to let him go and recast Kang. However, if he's proven innocent and they like working with him and they don't think that these allegations are true, then they can keep him on as Kang. Again, we try to be pretty unbiased when talking about this case, and if these allegations are true, of course, it is extremely sad. And if they aren't true, it's also extremely sad that somebody is trying to end his career. But basically right now we are waiting till the next court date for this, which is very early August, to see what evidence Majors and his team presents to the court and what the court's decision is going to be. But of course, if we hear anything else on the updates of this case, we'll be sure to let you know.
Okay, so that's it for that video. Now, he does have a court date coming up August 3rd. That's when the trial starts. And like I said, this is going to be very interesting to see what evidence the prosecutors have and what evidence the defense will be bringing. Honestly, the prosecutors have to have something in order to still be going with this case, because obviously she's probably not going to testify. So do they have like some footage or something? But it was rumored that they were interviewing his exes, and to me, I am no legal expert, but to me that just says that they probably don't really have anything on him and trying to get something for him to stick. But the question is why? Why are they pursuing this so hard, even though there's all this other evidence to say that he's innocent? So I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. Hopefully it doesn't get any weirder for him. But for now, it's your boy Charm with the Unfiltered Discussions podcast. I'm up out of here.